What an ambiance. Happy 4th of July! Hello beautiful people of the internet, welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you're new here, and I'm so excited that you've joined me today. I'm gonna go ahead and apologize because there are so many things about this video that are chaotic. First of all, it is coming the biggest storm outside, and the thunder and the lightning, they're a whole distraction, and I apologize. The lighting, not ideal, and then my pug hates thunderstorms, so you're probably gonna hear, you know, a song or two by him in just a minute. Okay, so if you hear any of that, we're just gonna kind of pretend it's not there. Is this video your average video? No, I've never seen this video done before. It's definitely unique, so just kind of bear with me. We've got our red, white, and blue popsicle earrings going on, and today we're going to be talking about all of my favorite books that are red, white, and blue. What better way to spend Independence Day than reading a good book? So I have an array of red, white, and blue books that I want to show you today that are some of my favorites. So without further ado, let's get started. All right, we will start with the red books first. The first red book that I absolutely adore is Catching Fire by Suzanne Collins. This is book 2 in the Hunger Games trilogy. I'm sure you know exactly what this book is, but just in case you don't, this is following our main character, Katniss Everdeen, and Katniss lives in this kind of dystopian society where the government is a dictatorship. Her and her people live in districts. So Katniss specifically lives in District 12, and their districts are very poor. They have very little to eat, and every year they do this thing called the Hunger Games, where the government basically chooses 2 people from each district to kind of fight to the death in order to gain food for their district. This is a phenomenal series. It came out when I was in middle school. It's phenomenal. If you've not picked it up, I highly recommend it. Y'all know I could not go a video without mentioning Riley Sager, and the next red book that I have is Final Girls by Riley Sager. This is actually his debut novel. This is the first novel he ever wrote, and a lot of people don't like this one. I have an unpopular opinion. I absolutely adore this one. This was actually the first Riley Sager that I read. This is following our main character, Quincy, and in college, Quincy went through a very tragic event in which all of her friends died except for her, so she is considered a final girl. So fast forward, she has joined a final girl support group sort of thing where she found other girls that have went through similar tragic events, and they just kind of support each other. They stay in contact with each other. And then all of a sudden, it seems as though someone is hunting all of these final girls, and so they start dying off one by one. This is a roller coaster, so if you're not prepared to go into this one, it's pretty intense. It's pretty intense. It goes there and gets the ticket and comes back, leaves no crumbs. Please be prepared for this one, but it's such a good time. This next red book I do not own, but it is The Girls I've Been by Tess Sharp. This was a library book that I checked out last year, and surprisingly loved it. So this one is following our main character, Nora, and Nora and her friends are at the bank just doing, you know, their young adult thing, and they're taken hostage by a bank heist. So someone just walks in and starts like ordering people around and taking people hostage. What these robbers don't know is that Nora actually used to be a con woman because her mom was a con woman, and so her mom taught her everything she needed to know. And so Nora may be the only one that can help them get out of this situation. This was really fun. It had a lot of high stakes in it. It was very fast. There were quite a few flashbacks in it, which, I mean, give or take whether you like that or not, but I personally love a good flashback. Again, this was a really fun one. And the last red book that I have to share with you is one that I'm so excited to talk about, and that is Hidden Pictures by Jason Recolleck. I love this book. I love this book so much. And if you are going to read this one, I would highly recommend owning the physical copy, and I'll tell you why. So this one in particular follows our main character, Mallory Quinn, and Mallory is an ex-convict who's finding it hard to find a job. So out of the blue, she is offered a very luxurious babysitting gig. I mean, this house is huge, this family is picture perfect, and they have a 5-year-old son named Teddy. Mallory is in charge of Teddy, and she becomes very quickly attached to Teddy. But then all of a sudden, Teddy starts drawing these really sinister pictures. They start out really innocent at first, you know, like a normal kid drawing, and then they become more sinister. And what I love most about this book, y'all, is that the pictures are actually in the book. So it's kind of like an experience as you're reading it. Phenomenal. Highly recommend this one. Moving on into white books. White books were surprisingly hard to find. I only have a couple to share with you, but these are the only white books that I could find that I absolutely loved and adored and I wanted to recommend to you. The first one is actually a nonfiction, and it is a memoir, and that is The Glass Castle by Jeanette Walls. I will say that it's been a while since I read this one. I read this one a couple years back and absolutely adored it. This is a memoir about Jeanette Walls, and basically she had a very neglectful father growing up, and she was constantly moving, and it just kind of talks about the different things that her and her siblings had to go through as they were trying to basically fend for themselves. This is a gut-wrenching memoir, but it will keep you hooked the entire time. I absolutely adore this one. The next couple of white books that I want to talk about are ones that I do not physically own, but I still want to talk about them. And the first one being Second Chance by James Patterson. This series is so much fun. I've mentioned it before on my channel, but this is his Women's Murder Club series, and I'm sure you've seen them. All of his books in the series have numbers on the front, and this is obviously number 2. This series follows our detective Lindsay Boxer as she just is kind of thrown into these cases and is set to figure them out. So this one in particular follows a mass shooting that takes place in a church choir. But to come to find out, there are more killings that end up happening, and they kind of have a pattern to them. Honestly, I cannot say enough good things about this whole entire series. I would recommend listening to them audibly just because that's the way I consumed them, and they keep you on your toes the entire time. This next one, I'm kind of actually pretty sad that I don't own this one, and it's One by One by Ruth Ware. This was a trip. Oh my goodness, which most of her books usually are. This one follows a tech company. The tech company is actually really cool. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was like this app that allows you to connect to somebody else's phone and listen to what they're listening to as far as music goes. So I don't know. I thought it was really neat. So it's following this tech company as they take a business trip up to a ski resort, and they go in the dead of winter, and it snows them in. And they're all trapped in there. They're all trapped in there together and trying to figure out, you know, how to get out, how to survive. And then they all start dying off one by one, and not by natural causes. The last white book that I want to show you is kind of cheating because it's like a cream color, and that's The Silent Patient by Alex Michaelides. This book blew up a couple of years ago. This was actually the first thriller that I ever read. I adore this one. This one will always have a special place in my heart because it really got me into the mystery thriller genre. So if for whatever reason you don't know what this one is about, let me tell you. This book is all about this woman that mysteriously shot her husband a lot of times in his face. And then after that, she just stopped talking. Nobody could ever get her to talk anymore. We're following the perspective of this doctor, of this psychologist that thinks that he can get her to talk because he thinks that she's hiding something. It's so good. The twist in here? Are you kidding me? And now we're going into blue books, and obviously I did not have trouble at all finding any blue books. I have quite the stack here, so let me get started. First blue book that I want to show you is The One by John Mars. I know there's some mixed opinions about John Mars, but this is a good book. This story follows a bunch of different people, a bunch of different individual accounts, but they all have something in common. They're all on this dating app. And this particular dating app can match you with your perfect match based on your DNA. So it matches your DNA with somebody else's DNA. And that's basically your match made in heaven. And you're following a lot of different people's experience with that. Next is a blue graphic novel, and that is Sunny Side Up by Jennifer and Matthew Holm. I love this graphic novel series so incredibly much. This is the first book, and it follows Sunny St. James as she has to go spend her summer vacation with her grandpa at his condo. And she's not looking forward to it because all of her friends are doing a bunch of different other things, and she doesn't get to do that. She gets to hang out with grandpa. This is such a sweet story. Oh my gosh. If you can go this whole story without smiling, I'm worried about you. I'm gonna do it just real quick. Just real quick. Okay, moving on. The next blue book that I want to mention is Final Offer by Lauren Asher. This is book 3 in the Dreamland Billionaire series, and I adore that series with everything in me. So each of the books in the series follows a different brother, and all of those brothers have a job to do. Their late grandfather left them each a job to do in order to gain his inheritance. This one specifically is following the youngest brother, Cal, and Cal's job is that he has to go and live for a year at his grandfather's lake house. But here's the deal. He's set to inherit the lake house if he can live there for a year. But then again, so is Elena. So him and Elena are going to have to try and figure this out, try and live in the same place in order to gain inheritance. The last blue book that I want to mention is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. This is probably my favorite thriller of all time. That's a mouthful. So this particular thriller follows Daisy Darker's family as they come together to celebrate... I told y'all. They came together to celebrate Nana's 80th birthday. Well, while they're there, the tide comes in, and so none of them are allowed to leave. They wake up during the night to find that Nana has been murdered. And behind Nana's body, there is this really creepy chalkboard that someone has wrote all of their names on and is crossing them off one by one. This is a classic one by one whodunit, and I ate it up. No crumbs were left. And there you have it, my friends. Those are all the red, white, and blue books that I absolutely adore. If you made it this far into the video, please leave me a flag. Whatever flag you want to leave me the US flag if you're from the US. Leave me your flag if you're not from the US. I hope you have a fantastic holiday if you celebrate, and thank you so much for being here. Please don't forget to join me over on Instagram. I post daily on my stories over there. And please don't forget to leave this video a like and subscribe if you want to stick around, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!